Is that about the tempo you'd expect from a Toronto-Minnesota game, even early in the preseason like this?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I think it was really good for our players to get to play like a real game. Obviously, practicing, we're trying to push the pace as much as we can, but when you're against another team, then it's more physical. The pace of play was good. I like the game. I liked our game. I liked the way we played. Obviously, we have lots of things to work on, but me as a coach, that gives me lots of video to watch, so it's good.
Ken, kind of what goes into the thought process of creating the lineup here today for a quick preseason where you only have a couple opportunities to kind of get a look at some players before you got to make roster decisions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix. It's we definitely want to get the players who aren't under contract. We want to make sure they have opportunities to earn a job. I mean, I think we have maybe the fewest signed players, but I mean, it gives a great opportunity for the players that we do have coming in. They have a chance to earn a job, and I want to make sure those players play and make sure they play both games, and also for our veteran players coming back who are under contract, make sure that they feel good. They're getting a game under their belt, and so come December 1st, we're ready to go.
And for somebody like Claire Thompson, who obviously coming back after not really playing much over the past year, the decision not to have her in the lineup today, and kind of how you've seen her kind of ramp up here through training camp.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think she's an exceptional player. I mean, obviously, she just played the 3 games in the rivalry series, so that gives her a little bit. She didn't look out of place there when I watched, so we're really excited about her. She's been great in practice, great teammate, great person. She'll be in tomorrow. It was just kind of a thing where we're making sure, like I said, the players that don't have contracts, we want to make sure they have opportunities to earn them. And then also that our veterans are getting a little chemistry, getting up to speed with the way we want to play.
And early on, how have you seen Claire's skill set kind of form into the defense core that you had from last year?
Like I said, she's a great player. I mean, she's a phenomenal skater. For me, it's just working on little details of her game that I think I can help her improve. Stick, gap, all those things. She does them anyway, but I think it's just the things that we rep, that we can kind of help our players to, be the best they can be. That's what we're looking to do as a coaching staff.
Sophie, yesterday the league clarified or changed the wording in what is a hit and what isn't a hit. Did it clarify things for you, and is it still a process? Like, do we know yet?
Honestly, I didn't read the new wording,
okay.
but
Sorry, Sophie. Sorry.
I'm sure it's like, I feel like it's kind of just like you test the waters and we'll see what's a penalty, and as the season goes on we become more familiar with what's a clean hit and what's not. I think a lot of the stuff along the boards goes, and from what I heard people talking about, I think as long as you're moving the same direction it's okay, so I guess we'll learn more as the season goes on.
What about for you, Ken?
Yeah, I would agree. Same thing. I mean, I think it's a bit of adjustment for the refs and for the players, kind of as we're establishing what is a good body check versus what is not. And again, it's for me, it's hard for these players because I know, some of them are 30 years old. They've never had this kind of body contact, so they're learning. But for me, it's more about, as coaching staff, we're trying to make sure they're ready to absorb the body check, and not standing up tall near, 3 feet from the boards, which, when you teach Bantam boys hockey, that's a danger zone.
Yeah.
That's where kids get hurt. So we're trying to really, in practice, like, hey, either get closer to the boards or get further away, or again, kind of initiate contact versus just receiving.
Maddie, how we're all talking about how physical the game is, and what did you learn from last year and from your perspective, from your vantage point, of how physical this game is, and were you surprised by it in some ways?
I think yes, last year I was a little bit surprised by it, but I mean, like Soph said, you kind of test the waters, and I was used to it a couple of games in, and I think it actually probably got a little more physical as the year went on, but it's just part of the game, and I think our team kind of thrived off it, and we kind of used that to our advantage, and we will continue to do that.
How did you adapt your game, or did you, or maybe your teammates adapt their game, knowing what you learned from last year going into this season?
Yeah, I think we just want to take where we left off, I guess, last year with our physicality, and for me personally, anyone wants to come through the crease and find out. I'm not out there throwing bodies, so I didn't really have to adjust anything with my game. I guess maybe a little more traffic in front, but the defensive core and the players do a good job with pushing bodies out. So,
Coach, obviously one of the new rules that were put out yesterday was the coach's challenge, and one of those, maybe you can talk to this as well, was goalie interference. What was that process be like for your staff on whether to decide to challenge or not challenge a play?
Yeah, I think that was one of those things that was kind of evolving last year as it went through. Like early on, it was, we didn't have the iPads, we didn't able to look at it, and then that was an improvement that the league made during the year, was that we had iPads, we got second looks at plays. It's just, to me, it's at the, obviously challenging at the right time, but also don't get wrapped up because I don't want to be on a penalty kill right after either. So, it's the same. I think if the goalies are interfered with and not allowed to do their job, then it should be a challengeable thing. And now that we, like I said, we have the iPads, we have the resources. I think all the arenas now should have enough camera angles, because we're playing in all great arenas this year. That it should be a good setup for us.
A question for Sophie. There's obviously Ohio State grads on, I think, every team in the league. Noticed you and Reagan had a quick moment there. Like, what's it like when you get to see those folks in each city? And do you explain to them the jump from that level to this one?
Yeah, I think it's definitely exciting and really cool that there's so many of us in the league, and almost pretty much everyone I got to play with while I was at school. So just getting to watch them grow and develop, and I hope they're all able to make an impact in the league this year on their respective teams. But I feel like we talk about it over the summer when we're back together, like joking about it. But I think everyone has confidence, and they're all great players. So I think they're going to learn themselves and find their own way in this league.
Ken, before last year, we were all wondering what rivalries might develop in this league. We're not as fast as in here saying, well, the Montreal-Toronto rivalry is really good, but there's also a Minnesota-Toronto rivalry. Your thoughts now on rivalries now that you've had a chance to get around this league once?
Yeah, I think with only 6 teams, I think there's rivalries every night. It's tight, right? We have a lot of one-goal games all the time. I think playoffs is the best indicator to build rivalries, and I think obviously us playing them in the playoffs, built a little bit, and obviously us with Boston as well. So, and I'm sure Montreal and Boston feel the same way, having their series. So I think to me, rivalries really start with playoff series where you play the same team over and over. I know that was something the ladies had never had before, where you had to win a 5-game series, and to understand that just because we lost the first game, it wasn't a one and done like these guys have had in international play. So to me, the rivalries are built at a playoff series, and I think they'll continue to be that way.
And what are the challenges of having the target on your back? Hillary congratulated you to me yesterday for winning, but she's not happy.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think it gives our ladies hopefully a sense of confidence and accomplishment that we're the defending champs, and now I think they've all enjoyed it this summer and can't wait to do it again. I think that's kind of our we're not getting ahead of ourselves. Obviously, it's a long year, but also you can put pressure on us because we're defending champs, but also we put pressure on ourselves. Like that's what we want to get.
Sophie, how do you feel your game has grown looking kind of entering training camp this year versus what your game was at last year?
Yeah, I think my game definitely changed a lot last season. Just adjusting to the speed and skill level through like up and down teams lineups, and just working on my defensive positioning and learning to use my offensive skills at the right time to make plays, I think really allowed my game to develop, and I think I was playing some of my best hockey by the end of last season. So just looking to hopefully continue build on that this season.
Maddie, I'll ask you a similar question. Sort of, you mentioned body checking doesn't really affect you, but other elements of the PWHL game, especially in games like this, where it's just very physical from the get-go in a mini camp game, right? What has that meant sort of for your game over time?
Yeah, last year was a big milestone, I guess, for my career, in a sense, like not only the competition with the games and playing against the top players in the world, but also day in and day out competing in practice has really been big for me in my development. And my mindset is just be ready when the opportunity comes and continue to go forward.
How important are these preseason games for you? I know they're important for everyone, but I feel like goalies, you need those reps. Is it different playing these games than just going in for practice or playing a little scrimmage at practice? Do you see that difference in helping you prepare for the season?
Yeah, I look at this as the first game of the year kind of thing. Like it was a long off season, but confident in my preparation, and looked at today as kind of the first game, and it was good to get that under my belt and with the team as well.
We good?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks,